Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. The biggest speech of the year. President Trump now just hours away from his State of the Union address. What to listen for tonight on the economy and Iran, and what the president is promising. The special guests as well, the U.S. men's hockey team, the military heroes, and the Democratic response tonight. At least 50 say they'll boycott the speech. What they're planning instead. Also developing tonight, digging out recovery from that historic blizzard when air travel may be back to normal as more snow is on the way. Meteorologist Rob Marciano with the timing and track. And the latest in the Nancy Guthrie case, day 24 now. Her daughter, Today co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, announcing a new $1 million reward. Plus, the heartbreaking reveal in her own words tonight.
We need to know where she is.
The coyote chasing a toddler outside his Southern California home. What happened next?
This is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel, reporting tonight from Washington, D.C.
And it's so great to have you with us on a very big night here in our nation's capital. We are just back from Capitol Hill and from the White House, where the president previewed some of his speech tonight, and it's a big one. The State of the Union address is typically a president's biggest single audience of the year, an audience measured in the tens of millions. And there is so much at a crossroads tonight, an economy that is not working for most Americans, according to the latest CBS News poll, the looming threat of a U.S. military strike on Iran unless a new nuclear deal is reached, and the Democratic response, the potential for empty chairs tonight on the House floor, as some 50 Democrats say they won't be attending at all. In just a moment, our exclusive conversation with House Speaker Mike Johnson on decorum. But first, CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Zhang on everything else about tonight's speech. Weijia, good evening.
Good evening to you, Tony. Tonight's speech is also a pivotal moment for President Trump to shape his message ahead of the midterm elections with that emphasis on the economy. Trump says it is going to be a long speech because there is so much to talk about, including his immigration crackdown and Iran. In his big speech, President Trump is expected to unveil new policies to address affordability and propose another round of tax cuts.
He'll obviously tout the administration's accomplishments over the past year, and he will, of course, lay out a very ambitious agenda.
A new CBS News poll shows more than half of Americans say the condition of the U.S. economy is bad. Democrats argue Trump has failed to cut prices.
He promised that he would lower costs on day one, and yet we will be on day 400. And the cost of groceries is up.
Trump was banking on tariffs to bring his economic vision to life. But last week, the Supreme Court struck most of them down in a 6-3 ruling. Two justices he appointed sided with the majority.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court.
Those justices are expected to be in the audience tonight. So are several of Trump's guests, including Erica Kirk, the widow of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who was shot and killed in September. And after personally inviting the U.S. men's hockey team to attend, fresh off their historic gold medal win at the Olympic Games, Trump sent a military aircraft to bring the athletes to Washington. Their first stop was the White House. And Tony, as you mentioned, it's also notable who won't be in that crowd. At least 50 Democrats plan to skip the speech, which would make it the biggest boycott of a State of the Union address in history. Tony.
We'll be watching it, Weijia. Thank you very much. And tonight, I'll be right here leading our coverage of the president's State of the Union address. Also, the response from Democrats. Our coverage begins right after the broadcast. And earlier today, I sat down with House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican of Louisiana, to talk about what the president can say tonight and what Congress can potentially do to address the economy and prices, two issues that Americans are worried about. He told me the president's big, beautiful bill speaks for itself.
They're beginning to feel that relief. It's going to result and is already resulting in bigger tax refunds for people as they file their taxes this year, bigger paychecks that'll be coming. The estimate is $10,000 per citizen on average that they'll have more money in their pockets because of Republican policies that have been implemented and signed into law by President Trump. So we're on the right trajectory.
So is there anything new tonight or just touting the things that have already been done?
I think it's both. I think he's going to say that in the first year, the first term, we hit the largest priorities on the minds of the American people, and it began with the wide open border. Clearly, that was the biggest issue in the election that every exit poll recorded. The president did that in record time.
What about on the interior?
Yes.
The president campaigned on closing the border and mass deportation. They were waving signs with that at the RNC. Something seems to have gone wrong, and terribly so. He's now underwater on that issue, and I think we all know why.
Well, there's a perception out there that it was overzealous in some respect, but the president's intention has always been to rid the country of dangerous criminal illegals. That's what they've accomplished.
Is it merely a perception?
I think Tom Homan has done a great job when he went into Minneapolis, for example, and he brought calm to the situation and restored common sense. And of course, we've removed the extra agents from there now because it was mission accomplished.
Going back to tonight, what are you telling your members about decorum?
Well, I told them this morning, tonight is going to be a great celebration. We get to celebrate America's new golden era, literally and figuratively, because the hockey team will be there with their gold medals. We'll
You've
talk
worked
about
it out.
Yes, we have. Logistics were a bit of a challenge last minute, but I think we'll get that done. I think it's going to be a great celebration for our side. I think the admonition for decorum is to the other team. You saw the antics that they put on display, the Democrats, during the last State of the Union. I had to actually
Republicans
eject someone.
over the years have been known to perform their own bits of antics
And at every turn, I have encouraged my colleagues to maintain decorum and the dignity of the office. I think it's important for the institution and for the American people to see. I think what we should put on display tonight, I told my colleagues this morning, is what the USA hockey teams did in the Olympics. We play for one team. We're all for America. I think it's detestable that members would boycott the speech. We've never done that. It doesn't matter if there's a Democrat president. You go and respect the office. You respect the decorum, the institution, the tradition of having had this speech made. And it's sad to me that Democrats are choosing to opt out of that.
Speaker Johnson had much more to say about tariffs and the potential for strikes on Iran. You can see our full interview at cbsnews.com. Now to new developments in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, including a new $1 million reward for her mother Nancy's return. Here's CBS News national correspondent Jonathan Vigliotti.
We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home.
But today, Savannah Guthrie acknowledging for the first time her mother Nancy may never return alive.
She may already be gone. If this is what is to be, then we will accept it.
How did you process that video as you watched it?
Heart-wrenching. It doesn't matter who you are in this world, your celebrity status or just your everyday person. That's your mom.
DNA recovered from Guthrie's home may not yield a usable profile of the suspect, according to several sources, one calling it, quote, low level.
What does low level in that context say to you?
It's very difficult to work with.
The sheriff's department sent the DNA to a private lab in Florida instead of handing it over to the FBI.
Top leadership should have said, how do we do this most efficiently, that we get the results fastest? And if that didn't happen, that was a failure in leadership. That's frustrating.
It's also unclear if this image, released along with the doorbell video, was captured days before or hours leading up to the crime. Savannah Guthrie now offering a family reward up to $1 million for information leading to her mother's recovery.
So that we can either celebrate a glorious, miraculous homecoming or celebrate the beautiful, brave, and courageous and noble life that she has lived.
And investigators say cracking this case may come down to a single tip. The Guthries are asking anyone with information to contact the FBI directly. That number is there on the screen. Tony.
Jonathan, thank you very much. We turn now to that massive cleanup underway after a blizzard rolled over the East Coast, canceling more than 2,000 flights today. CBS News senior transportation correspondent Chris Van Cleve has an update.
At airports across the Northeast, crews worked around the clock clearing feet of snow to get planes moving again. Flight Radar 24's tracking data show how the skies went from virtually empty to back in business by midday.
My flight was supposed to board at 2:35 in the afternoon, but it's been delayed several times. It's now leaving at about 4 o'clock.
We were supposed to be in Nashville at, I think it was like 5 o'clock, and of course that got canceled.
Snowplows were out in force to get drivers safely back on the road, and crews were out clearing tracks to get trains and commuter lines back running.
Since Sunday, more than 11,000 flights have been canceled, but when we look towards Wednesday, so far, only about 130 canceled for tomorrow, Tony.
You know, Chris, while we have you, I want to ask you about a bill that was voted down today by the House. It was designed to address airline safety gaps. Certainly sounds important. What happened?
Yeah, so this was the Rotor Act, and it grew out of the deadly mid-air collision in Washington last year. It would have required most aircraft to have the ability to send and receive really detailed location data about other aircraft. The NTSB believes if that had been in place a year ago, the mid-air collision probably wouldn't have happened. It passed the Senate unanimously. It had the support of the crash families, airlines, pilots. It was based on NTSB recommendations, but was brought to the House floor by a mechanism that required a 2/3 majority vote. It fell one vote short after the Pentagon pulled its support, citing cost and security concerns. Tony?
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Back to the blizzard tonight. Millions in the Northeast digging out from that historic blizzard, and residents in Boston shoveling out their cars from nearly 1.5 feet of snow. Other parts of New England got more than 3 feet. In New York City, meanwhile, the police are investigating an incident you may have seen online. In Washington Square Park, officers were pelted by snowballs. The police commissioner and union say this was a criminal act. Mayor Zohran Mamdani tried to defuse the situation, saying officers deserve respect, and he joked if anyone should be pelted, it's him. CBS News meteorologist Rob Marciano has more on the storm now, and a new one moving in. Saying ain't so, Rob. Good evening.
I'm afraid so, Tony. I tell you what, road crews have done an incredible job with this last storm, clearing the roads, but adding a little bit of insult to injury. We do have a storm coming in tonight. It won't be nearly as bad. Let's get to it. We're seeing some snow fly to Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit. You're going to see this clipper kind of roll across Pittsburgh in the morning, then the I-95 corridor, Philly, northward. Should be snow right around the morning commute. That's the tough part. I-95 will see a coating to maybe a couple of inches of snow up towards parts of New England. It does get a little more warm in the afternoon, but it will stick in the morning. So kids who are going back to school tomorrow, going back to work for sure, it's going to be a little bit slick in the morning, could be several inches well inland. And then looking at temperatures, they do warm up some in the afternoon the next few days, but overnight low temperatures will once again be below freezing. So that slush on the roadways, the sidewalks will stick around through the weekend, and more cold air coming in next week. Tony?
Rob, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to another big story here in Washington tonight. The growing calls for Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez to resign following the release of explicit text messages with a congressional aide who later died by suicide last year. This is one of those stories where we do caution some of the details to follow are graphic. Here's CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian.
Congressman Tony Gonzalez was defiant today on Capitol Hill.
I'm not going to resign. I work every day for the people of Texas.
The Texas Republican has been under intense scrutiny after allegations resurfaced that he had an affair with a former staffer. The staffer, Regina Santos Avalos, died last year by suicide after setting herself on fire. A police report revealing she called 911 at the time, yelling, "Please send help. It burned so bad." Text messages obtained by CBS News reveal in May 2024, Gonzalez asked Santos Avalos for a sexy pic. When she said she didn't like taking photos of herself, he responded, "I'm just such a visual person. Sorry." He also asked her what her favorite position is. Santos Avalos later replied, "This is going too far, boss."
Mr. Speaker, is the situation with Congressman Gonzalez becoming a distraction now?
Speaker Mike Johnson said the matter is under investigation by the Office of Congressional Conduct during an exclusive interview with Tony.
The allegations are, it's detestable what is being alleged.
But the Speaker stopped short of calling for Gonzalez to step down, despite a growing number of House Republicans who have called for his resignation.
I don't know why he's sticking around, particularly with the texts that came out.
Congressman Gonzalez has denied the affair with Santos Avalos, but her husband tells CBS News this is not something that has been fabricated. Gonzalez is up for re-election and faces a very contentious primary challenge next week, Tony.
Nicole, thank you very much. Still ahead on the broadcast tonight from Washington.
I'm Holly Williams in Lviv. 4 years after Russia invaded Ukraine, it's using winter as a weapon. That's coming up on the CBS Evening News.
Back now from Washington, D.C., and another reason today matters. It marks 4 years since Russia invaded Ukraine, starting a war that has cost billions of dollars and left hundreds of thousands dead. Here's CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams on how we got here and where things are going.
For 4 years, Ukrainian civilians have been in the firing line, terrorized by Russia's ballistic missiles and drones. Part of Russia's strategy is attacking Ukraine's power grid, turning winter into a weapon. The Ukrainian government has set up thousands of these heated tents called points of invincibility. And people who don't have heating at home or who have limited electricity can come here, warm up, charge their phones and get a hot drink. This winter's been especially harsh, with the temperature regularly dipping below zero. 10-year-old Vanya and his mother Anastasia took us to see their apartment, where the heating system's been shut down and the walls of their kitchen recently iced over.
Did you build this yourself?
Yes. They're heating 2 rooms with electricity, but struggling to pay for it.
Is it possible that Vladimir Putin will break your morale, will break Ukrainians' morale?
No, she told us. We want to live in Ukraine. Like millions of Ukrainian children, Vanya's grown up sheltering from Russian bombs.
Do you try to be brave to help your mother?
Yes, he told us. I try to be cheerful.
I love you, Mom.
After 4 years of grinding war, Russia now controls around 20% of Ukraine's territory. But last week, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that his country's forces recently clawed back over 100 square miles. Tony.
Holly, thank you very much. Up next, what sent this adorable toddler running for mom? A car came out of nowhere, captured on police body cam. Take a look at this. The driver of the SUV on your screen blew past a stop sign, through an intersection, and right into that New York State trooper, knocking her down, all because the driver said the winter sunlight had blocked his vision. Good news is that trooper already back on the job. Now, parents can tell you toddlers are way quicker than those little legs may suggest, and a family in Pasadena is grateful for that tonight. That 3-year-old running up his driveway screaming for mom was being chased by a coyote. But when Mama Bear, just off camera, screamed back, it was the coyote, as you see there, on the run. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. Thank you for watching tonight. We'll be back later for the State of the Union right here, and we'll see you tomorrow night live from Baltimore, a special Live from America. Good night for now.